Hello everybody and welcome to day 160 of Rhys's Stories, and welcome to the night time of Rhys's Stories, because I do the stories during the day and the evening and the night, because you can read stories at night before you go to bed. And today I'm going to be reading you Mr. Cool by Roger Hargreaves, and let's get moving. Poor Jack Robinson wasn't feeling very well. He had been in bed for days, and he had to stay in bed until he was better. "I'm bored," he huffed. "I wish I could go outside and play with my friends." Suddenly, a blue blur shot in through the open window. It looped the loop around the light in the ceiling, and a small blue figure wearing a hat landed on the end of Jack's bed. "And who was that?" "Cool," said Jack. "That's me, Mr. Cool," and it was Mr. Cool that landed on the end of his bed, said Mr. Cool. "Cool," repeated Jack. "You look a bit bored," said Mr. Cool. "I thought we could go and have some fun." "I wish I could," said Jack, "but I'm not allowed out of bed." "I think we could make an exception, just this once," said Mr. Cool, and he clicked his fingers. Hear that? That's me clicking my fingers, pretending to be Mr. Cool. The next instant, Jack found himself sitting in the cockpit of a jet aeroplane. "Why don't you take it out for a spin?" suggested Mr. Cool. "What? Can I really fly it? And you need a license," said Jack. "Sure you can," said Mr. Cool. "It's easy as if." So Jack flew the jet plane out across the Atlantic Ocean and back. "That was cool," cried Jack when they were back on the ground. "Thanks, Mr. Cool," and that's why the story is called Mr. Cool. "We haven't finished yet," said Mr. Cool, and he clicked his fingers again. Jack heard a crowd roar. He was at a football ground, but he wasn't sitting in the crowd. He was on the bench with the other players, and he was even wearing the team strip. And that's like my daddy's football outfit, because he has the red t-shirt and the white shorts. "Quick," said Mr. Cool, "the manager wants you to go on." "He wants me to play," said Jack incredulously, "but they're Capital United, and you'll never guess what." Jack scored the winning goal. "Wow, that was so cool," said Jack. As Jack walked off the pitch, Mr. Cool clicked his fingers and whisked them away to climb the tallest tree in the world. Nonsense, you can never climb a tree. He clicked his fingers again, and before you could say Jack Robinson, they were standing on top of a mountain. "Where are we?" called Jack over the noise of the wind. "Mount Everest," said Mr. Cool. "How cool! What are we doing here?" shouted Jack. "Sledding," said Mr. Cool. "Let's go. And it's very dangerous on mountains." Jack and Mr. Cool slid from the very top to the very bottom of Mount Everest. "That was the coolest thing ever," cried Jack. "It was more like the coldest," stuttered Mr. Cool. For the final time that day, Mr. Cool clicked his fingers. In an instant, Jack found himself back in his bedroom. "Thank you so much, Mr. Cool," said Jack. "That was amazing," laughed Mr. Cool. "Well, I'll be off, said Mr. Cool, but there's one more thing. Jack, have a look in the mirror. With this, Mr. Cool shot out through the open window. Jack went into the bathroom and looked in the mirror. Cool, said Jack when he saw himself. And why do you think Jack was so pleased? That's right, all his spots had gone. Jack was better. I wonder on which page did Jack get better? And yes, the end. I hope you enjoyed that lovely story called Mr. Cool by Roger Hargreaves, and subscribe and follow me on Instagram. And I have my own little fairy garden in my bedroom. And yes, I have my own fairies as well, and they're actually real. They do come out at night, because the way I leave their wellies, I leave them lying down, I leave them standing up, and then the next morning I wake up and I open my curtains and my blinds, and the fairy garden on my windowsill, I see the boots are lying down. So, I have real fairies. So if you're ever being naughty, I'll send them straight to you. So you better be good. And yes, as you know, you might be going back to school soon, and I am going back to school on Thursday. And yes, so yes, go to bed and bye.